You know what a race car driver is? 1/10%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 1/10%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me you're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm number one on. I like being number one on TikTok better, but I'm number one on the list for killing, including trying to end the war with.
I mean, look, it's really funny for Donald Trump to even say that he wants to get his clicks on TikTok, which, I mean, we know that Donald Trump likes to have these big ego boosts, especially on True Social, and we know that technically this video right now that I'm recording is boosting his ego. As we know, Donald Trump loves attention and he really is a puppy. We'll continue with the clips.
Iran, or whatever you call it, it's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that.
Why are you apparently...
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, the reason why they're currently attacking Iran is basically that Benjamin Netanyahu has been stating that Iran has been building a nuclear weapon for decades now. And there's clips even from the 80s and 90s of basically world leaders back then stating that Iran could be building a nuclear weapon, which I don't believe they have. And even if they possibly did have one, they would have used it a while back. We know that Iran's military on Twitter loves to fearmonger online and insult Donald Trump, which is obviously normal. Donald Trump also insults them a lot. Let's continue.
Unable to end the Iran war.
So I think we're doing just the opposite. The Iran war has been a tremendous military success. And, you know, I can only answer the question by saying they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. I think I was there for one reason, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I call it, we denuclearize Iran, and that's happened. They will never have a nuclear weapon. That stuff is so far down under a mountain. It's a granite mountain that collapsed on top of it. Take months to get it out. I think it's a tremendous success, Iran. And you see the oil prices are lower than they were when I started. And people like to say that, but look, they have no military left. Their Air Force is gone. As I said, their ships are gone. 159 ships are gone. They're at the bottom of the sea. Their radar is gone. Everything's gone. So when you say not a success, it's a tremendous success. The fake news likes to say how well they're doing. They're doing terribly. They have 350% inflation. When the war started, they had like 6%, 5%. They want to make a deal, but they don't know how to make a deal. And then they go around shooting ships at night. I don't like that. You know, they're dealing with very fine people. They're dealing with Steve Witkoff. They're dealing with Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance. And they're dealing with Marco and Scott. They're dealing with great people, but I don't know. I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy.
Fast shipping widths.
Now, basically, Donald Trump stated that oil is basically trading back at the same price, which actually, since it was going viral on Twitter, it actually got fact-checked stating that oil used to be at $76 before the war in Iran, and now it's at $75 per barrel, which is basically a $8 to $10 difference. But let's just average a $10 difference. So in general, Donald Trump is not totally accurate, which honestly, I could let that slide from. Oil does fluctuate a lot. And as we know, the war in Iran, for a while, oil was up 50% for a few months at its peak of the war. So, which is totally normal. But again, I don't think Iran has a nuclear weapon. Let's continue.
That was a big part of what we targeted. Underground facilities where they were storing drones or missiles, coastal defense sites, radar sites, surveillance sites, anything used to harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. So anything they thought they had rebuilt or capability they were using was a target last night. And tonight, if we need to, on your order, Mr. President, we will hit even more and even deeper, because that's the consequence.
And we may put down the blockade. We may put it back, the blockade. And it'll only be a blockade for Iran. Anybody else can have whatever they want. Now, of course, they'll drop some mines if they can, you know, if they can do it. But it's hard because we're taking out those little boats now with the same weapon we used to take out the drug lords and the boats coming in by sea. Think of it, 97%. For years, We had fentanyl and all the other drugs coming in from different countries, including Venezuela. And it was, you know, they'd arrest them, they'd bring them to a court, they'd be released, and they'd be back on another boat the next. 97 close to maybe making a deal. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. So
either
look, you got to keep in mind at this point, Donald Trump, if he really wanted to, he could just bomb the whole place. We do know that there was a commercial ship that was going through the Strait of Hormuz, which is really sad considering that the people that are driving these ships are normal people like me and you right now, the viewer that's watching this at home. We're just working his job and he gets blown up to pieces because US didn't like that and they had to interfere and blow up the whole ship. The tragedy. And Donald Trump is technically not that wrong, stating that Venezuela was bringing a lot of illegal substances to the United States, which I could actually agree with him that it's not good that these illegal substances are even traveling to the United States. Let's continue.
look, we're going to win one way or the other. We're either going to make a deal or we're going to finish the job, okay? And it won't be tough to finish the job. I'd rather make a deal because I don't want to affect 91 million people. We can knock down their bridges in 1 hour. We can knock out their energy supply, all of those big plants that they built, big, beautiful, modern plants. They had a lot of money. They don't have any money now. We haven't given them any money. But we can knock out their electricity and power generating plants in, I would say, a small part of an afternoon. Every plant will be gone. And they know that. They know that.
Which, look, technically Donald Trump for the past few months has been basically saying that Iran wants a deal so bad, which I don't believe this at all, since we know that Iran, basically 3 weeks ago, before there was a big ceasefire, they were stating that they refused the deal, stating that it was a big cleanup for the UFC 250 event and the World Cup that was coming a few weeks after that, which, as we know, basically every time that there's a semblance to the Epstein file release, some more files get released every few weeks or a few months by now. And every time that happens, Donald Trump just restarts the war fully in Iran, which is completely sad. Now, this clip that is coming up is from currently Iran that is striking US bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Play the clip right now. I'm not going to play the whole clip since it's just bombs in the air and just flying by. So with all this being said, I can clearly think that Donald Trump is now struggling with the war in Iran. We know that also, you got to keep in mind his health is falling in real time. We've seen him sleep in multiple events, like the UFC 250 event, the Knicks event, and him at private cabinet meetings that are meant to be closed off to the public, and him literally just inviting the news outlets to record them and thinking that Donald Trump was going to be this big hero and this big king. As we know, he wants to be kingmaker, but yeah, inviting news outlets and him just sleeping at the events is not a clear sign at all for Donald Trump's health. I cannot imagine, as I mentioned in other videos, what world leaders like Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping is thinking about Donald Trump just sleeping at these events. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with the war in Iran. As we know, it's basically back in full effect for the past few days now, and we'll have to see what happens since the U.S. was spending $900 million a day just on the military aid, the military loan, jets, basically everything that's structure-wise and everything that is vehicle-wise has been spent. They were spending $200 million just on bombs the last few days, 3 weeks before the ceasefire. So yeah, this was Matt Berube from The Berube Show. If you have anything to say in the comments, leave it in there. And the goal is to have 1,000 subscribers. We have a humongous catalog of videos posted on every single platform. Follow us. I'll see you guys next one. Bye-bye.